Okay. Let's cover her up. We're gonna start with old white. As you can see, this is pretty banged up. I tried to take some of this off. It's just really becoming a tedious job, and I don't like doing that. So, we're gonna cover it up. Nice thick chalk paint. This paint. Then we're gonna do a wash. Just a paint wash. Nothing sophisticated. You're just gonna wash it on, wipe it off. It's gonna leave a little residual of Paris gray. Let's see how that looks first. If I like it, I may leave it. If I don't, and I think it needs just a little bit more body or a little bit more tone to it, I may go with some French linen. I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna focus this particular tutorial with the washes, and two, and I think some of you guys are really scared about glazes, but in fact, glaze is the ultimate antique finish. Don't get me wrong, I like waxes. If you're comfy with your waxes, stick with your waxes. But this tutorial, I'm gonna try to make this so easy, and hopefully it'll break down some barriers of fear about glazes. Love this glaze. It's the best glaze. Van Dyke Brown. It's water base, glaze effects. And I'm also going to show you glaze extender. This is the master. Because yes, glaze dries so quickly, what happens is you don't have enough time to kind of work it in the way you want. This is going to help you. You don't always have to use this, depending how fast you work. But for somebody who's not used to glazes, highly recommend it. You can mix up your glazes. You don't have to use the products that I use. You can use any chalk paints you want. I'm just giving you a general idea of tones and colors I use. I do know for a fact we are starting with old white. This was some kind of white. I'm going to say it was a latex paint. It's very, very chippy. I could probably keep chipping away and getting it off, but like I said, that was a really tedious project. I don't like tedious projects. I don't like sanding, and with chalk paint you don't really have to do any of that. It's really good coverage. You can't really go wrong, and whether you use a varnish or you use the wax, you're sealing it, you're done. I always, as I say at my tutorials, I tell you guys, you got to clean them out. That's it. Cleaning them out is really, really, especially depending where you're getting them from. I try to get them from estate sales. That's my big thing. I like pieces with history to them, but I also want to demonstrate to you guys that just plain old furniture that's not even wood can look beautiful too. So let's get started, and we're going to start with old white. I'm just going to cover this all up with old white. The reason this is going to be a really good glaze, and I recommend using glazes when you have this kind of detail, you want to make this detail the dominant of your piece, not the color, the detail. So she has more detail than I think I've ever had in any piece that I've chalk painted. So this is like the detail queen in detailed pieces of furniture. So that's where I'm going to make it pop with the glazes. So this is going to be a fantastic tutorial for glaze, and you're not going to fear it, you're going to love it. I love glaze, and I'm going to teach you all kinds of fun things to do with glaze. Anyway, let's get started. I quickly showed you that we did the gray wash on here. It's so faint, very, very faint, but it definitely gave it the tones that I was looking for. I'm actually thinking I might do another gray wash. I'm not sure yet. I think what I will do first is a French linen wash. And again, all I want to do is create these different tones from, you know, a taupey tone, the gray tones, and we already started with the white tones. So this is just going to give it this old, you know, weathered kind of feeling with all these different tones matched in there. There's no right and wrong way. Wash is so simple, as you saw, we did. And we're going to do it again. And I'm going to film me doing it as close up as I can. Because this piece has so many details in it, I'm making the wash a little more runny than I like to because I need to get it into the details. So it's going to be a bit of a drippy mess. I do get a lot of chalk paint on my floor, but never ever worry about chalk paint. It cleans up like that. So I literally just take soap and water. It comes right off. These are just laminate floor anyway. With all the traffic that comes through here, they always need a good wash anyway. So I made my French linen wash. I usually just do 1 part water, 1 part paint. You can do whatever ratio you want. If you do 2 parts paint, 1 part water, it's just gonna be probably a little bit more dramatic. So that's all you're doing is you're creating, do I want something a little bit more effective or a little less effective? And we're going with a little bit less. We just rather build as we go. So, yeah. I'm wearing my lovely gloves because it's just going to be a big splatter mess, but that's okay. I like to play. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to start from the top to the bottom. I'll bring the camera closer for you guys. Like I said, you just want to get it on there, wipe it off. I try to avoid streaks, so it just has like this big, I don't want that big smear on there. So one thing I do is I kind of do circular motions and wipe up and down, back and forth, and all we're doing is we're just trying to get it into the detail of this piece, and it's just going to leave a little bit of a residual French linen-y, that's not a word, French linen, just this little taupey hue behind. It's just another tone. That's all we want, lots of tones. Okay, let's get going. a big question that people have when it comes to color washing is, if I put water and a diluted new paint color on an already existing paint finish, does this mean this is going to lift off? It shouldn't. The only real reason it would lift off is because this finish is too thin. So if you only have one coat, generally sometimes the already existing paint finish will lift a little bit. But sometimes people want that because they want some light distressment, and wet distress by just adding water or color wash is going to give you a little bit of takeaway around certain areas. So where I'm going with this is, the safest bet when you're doing a color wash is try to have 2 reasonably dense coats on your project first. Our first coat was pretty thick. Remember, we did I think 2.5 coats. Again, we got some fantastic texture with that. Again, there's no right and wrong. This is just, I'm just taking you through the process of what I'm doing to this piece. So I'm super happy about the results. Everything's looking great. Definitely getting this tone on tone. It's looking a lot more organic as far as just a natural wear within the colors themselves, even being such a light base. So I'm going to go ahead and put another coat of the gray wash on and see if we can tone it with a little bit more gray. I am absolutely loving our results. This is so exactly what I was envisioning, and it's looking fantastic. I love it. So we're gonna let this dry, probably about half an hour, 45 minutes. It's just slightly damp because it's a wash, but it's gonna dry really fast. So something I'm just quickly mentioning, I'm actually starting to rub a little bit harder. I'm trying to actually bring a little bit of the white to come back here on the really like protruded points. So you're gonna see that in the finished product. You can see that. Just be careful with doing that again, because you need to apply the pressure, but you don't want to necessarily wet distress. You just want to bring back a few other layers. So just be mindful. I find probably the safest way to do it is just lots of rub. Rub, not too hard, just rub.